You're tuned into Recovery TV, the voice of hope, with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Discussions and information on addiction and mental health issues. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. This is Narcan. If you get a chance to get it, get it. Keep it in your car, your purse. You can't put it in your wallet, but you need to keep it around. So many people have been saved by the use of Narcan on overdoses. So my guest today, you're never even going to believe what we're talking about today in recovery, is horses. And you look at me like, horses? Horses. Carol Ann Silver is here, and Desiree Soto from Problem Gambling. Welcome, ladies, and thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So Desiree,
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about Problem Gambling, and then we'll talk about horses.
Yes, we will. So March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Our team of individuals, what we try to do is do a lot of outreach during that time to, give information and education to the public about what problem gambling is, what are some of the signs and symptoms, and where people can get some help. About 2% of the population have problem gambling, and another 4 to 6 don't necessarily meet the criteria for problem gambling, but are teetering that line of it could potentially be a problem. In Rhode Island, the numbers are about 17,000 individuals that have problems with gambling, according to the National Council on Problem Gambling. That study was done a few years ago, so it may be more at this point. But with the iGaming coming aboard this year, we want to do a lot of outreach specifically this year. We've been seeing an increase more in women in our program, along with just our numbers have increased. Usually we have about 6 to 8 referrals a month, and now we're about almost 14 this month.
Wow.
So it's an important month for us to be able to do a lot of outreach and let individuals know that, this could potentially be a problem.
A lot of people don't think it's a problem until you get the letters in the mail that you owe $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on your credit card, and you didn't realize that you were gambling with the credit card and not figuring out what actually you were doing.
Yeah.
And that number, 17,000, in March 1st, the iGaming goes into effect. My assumption would be that 17 will go to 34,000. It will
Possibly.
double.
Yeah.
More younger kids can sit on their couch and gamble without their parents knowing that they're gambling.
Yeah.
So it's a big problem. It's a big problem. We have to get the word out about problem gambling, and that's why you brought your guest today.
Yes, we have Carol Ann here. She is one of the owners of the Silver Spirit Farm in Tiverton, right by the casinos. And what her team of individuals does is they work with horses. And they deal with a lot of first responders, which, as we all know, in that population, gambling is pretty high with that population. And so she's going to talk a little bit about some of the approaches that her team does to work with problem gambling and the horses.
Oh, welcome, and thank you for what you do.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm sure you don't have horse races down there at the farm. You actually teach people not to gamble.
Correct. We do facilitate a space to help people learn to cope with the urges that make them
Want
to gamble.
Right.
Yes.
It's ironic, because we have folks who may want dogs as a companion and also a therapy dog to calm them down. So I'm pretty sure that when you have your equine lessons at the farm, that's what calms these individuals down, and they get away from the thoughts in their head about gambling. Is that how it works?
The horses are they're non-judgmental, and they're also a very big, powerful animal. And humans and horses have joined together like over 5,000 years ago. They've worked together. Horses have teamed with humans to plow land. There's always been a relationship, a very special relationship between horses and humans. And horses have the ability to read humans, a little different than how dogs are. Dogs are also very useful as emotional support animals, but horses are prey animals. We are predators, so are dogs, predators. So a prey animal has the ability to see if a person is congruent with how they're behaving or if they're incongruent, if what they say lines up to what they're feeling inside. So that ability is very helpful. Their heart is also 5 times larger than the human being's heart, and there's been scientific proof that their heart can synchronize with the human's heart.
Really?
From up to 6 feet away.
Wow.
So they're very helpful for calming and for emotional regulation. And a lot of times people that have addictive behaviors are emotionally dysregulated. And for different reasons, trauma, grief, loneliness, depression, I mean, the list goes on and on. So that being around the horses in that space in a natural environment with, you know, it makes that connection to a living being and to nature. And it helps regulate the central nervous system, which becomes dysregulated with any kind of addiction.
So here's the $64 question. How did you get involved in something like this?
Well, that is a very interesting story. Probably too long for this segment. But I've always been interested in horses since I was a horse-crazy 5-year-old. And then a friend of mine in, I think it was 2008, introduced me to, hey, you love to go to school. I just heard about this program that can certify you to work with mental health professionals with the horses. And I thought, wow, that's right up my alley, because I'm already a teacher, and I was at that time pursuing a master's degree in holistic counseling at Salve Regina, because I was thinking I was going to branch out in that direction. So this made so much sense to me. And then I met a lot of people from the casino that is in Tiverton. Bailey's is the name of it now. So I met some people from there, and they spoke about problem gambling, and then I somehow got Nancy Murray's contact information, and we spoke. I invited her for a demonstration at the farm, because this kind of therapy is really experiential. You have to be there.
Do it.
And you have to be around the horses to experience this. It's a body experience. It's not talk therapy. As a matter of fact, there's very little talking in it, which...
Very little.
Yeah,
Now,
very little
let me tell you
talking.
something. Those horses start talking, we got trouble. Mr. Ed.
So that's how, and then I found out about it. I found out that there was a certification that I could go through, a class I could take, and I took the class, and then the mental health professional, one of the mental health professionals that I team with, because this particular type of therapy is a team approach. Mental health professional, licensed, horse specialist, and the horses. The 4-leggeds are the most important piece of the
Great.
equation.
So we have to take a break, and then we'll come back, because I want to talk more about this, because it's intriguing that horses, gambling, and then you look at other things, you look at horse racing and the amount of people that gamble on horse racing. So it's intriguing. So this is Problem Gambling Month. You can give them a call at 1-877-9-GAMBLE if you need help. You've been watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We're talking about equine therapy today. Desiree Soto, who's the executive director, program manager, or whatever she is at the Problem Gambling in Rhode Island. And we have another guest, Jess. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. And Jess is a mental health
Professional.
Professional.
Yes, a licensed independent clinical social worker.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
And you work at the farm. Tell me about the farm.
So it's usually described when people are coming to visit as a very calming space, which is really beneficial, especially for the individuals that we meet with that are dealing with problem gambling. It's just a space where they can take the time to be mindful and decompress, and also just focus in on what they're trying to work on when they meet with us.
Now, how does someone, a mental health professional, get involved in equine therapy?
Typically, at least in my experience, I was always into horses and animals, and I learned about the Equine Assisted Growth and Learning Association EGALA model of equine therapy. It's a team approach with a mental health professional, an equine specialist, and the horses, and that's something that I was interested in. And I learned about Carol and Silva's farm, Silva Spirit Farm, where Medicine Horse, the not-for-profit, is located, that provides equine-assisted therapy along with problem gambling services.
Now, when you have clients that Desiree has you take care of, is it all about doing work with the horses, riding the horses, doing things in the stable with the horses? Give me a day.
Yeah.
Give me what a day is.
So when an individual comes for their counseling session, it typically takes place either in the outdoor arena or in the indoor arena. Like now, since it's very cold, we have a heated indoor space, which has been great. And it'll include at least one of the horses and whatever that individual is needing to focus in on, because it's very person-centered. They get to decide what they're going to do. So maybe they need that time to connect with the horses. Metaphors can also be created, like sometimes when the horses have their mouths on the hay, sometimes things can come up related to problem gambling through that, or even through the different items that we have in that space, such as like PVC pipes and cones. Sometimes that'll become an obstacle to represent something in that individual's life that they're trying to accomplish. But no riding, just all on the ground. And the horses are free to be themselves and do what they need to do.
So what is, if I may ask this question, what is the success rate? I mean, when you ask 4 or 5 people to go down there, I mean, is the success rate something that you can pin to? Like, it worked. It worked.
I mean, I would say so. The difficulty becomes when we have clients in treatment, they're with us for quite some time. So a lot of them don't discharge very quickly. So I think that kind of speaks to the success rate a little bit, because whatever we are doing and they are doing with the individual is working because they're staying in treatment. And, you know, we've had some people in treatment who have been there since the inception of problem gambling services for 5 years at least.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, you know, we send clients based on what their need is, what they want to work on top of the gambling, and that's why we have all these licensed professionals as well. So typically I would send someone to these ladies who might have addiction issues, grief issues, the gambling issues, because those types of life issues and problems work best with the horses. As they were explaining, they're big animals, but they're very loving too. You know, I've had the chance to experience it for myself and go and you kind of just walk around the farm a little bit and they feel your energy, and if they feel something from you, they come up to you, you know, and so it's a pretty good experience. You know, right now they have 4 clients at the facility with them that they've been treating. Most of them are new right now because we've gotten a lot of referrals. So I would say the success rate is kind of hard to tell because they are still in treatment, but that's a good thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So give me quickly a day where I come to the farm. Tell me what I'm going to do.
Well, it depends upon what you're wanting or needing to do. So that might be spending time with them. That might be brushing them or petting them, or it might even just be observing their relationships that they have with each other, because that's something that we often find in the work that we do with individuals when they come. There are relationship challenges going on. It might be, like I was saying before, like creating an obstacle, because that might be a metaphor for something that's going on in their life. So those are some of the activities or things that might be focused in on.
Any challenge to age groups, whether it be 18-year-old or a 54-year-old?
No, we've had people of all ages and stages at participate in sessions.
Yeah,
What
they're
is the-
pretty flexible with.
What is the most difficult? Is it grief? Is it substance use? Is it mental health? What's the most difficult to try to handle?
I think each has its own challenges, at least in my experience.
And you've been doing this for how long?
So I have been a clinical social worker for 10 years now, and I've been at the farm for 5.
So where do you see the farm going?
I think through Medicine Horse, the not-for-profit that offers free services to individuals, I think that will continue to grow and offer the services as we continue to receive grant funding and continuing to be providers for problem gambling and continue to provide those
Great.
individual and family sessions as needed.
Great. We're going to take another quick break. I got to pay the bills so I can come down and see the horses.
Yeah.
You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Remember this number, 1-877-9-GAMBLE, if you're having issues. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Equine Therapy has been my guest today, Carol Ann Silva.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today. And Des has been on my show a number of times and will continue to be on my show with the issue of problem gambling. So, Carol Ann, let's tell my folks that are watching this program today where you're located. You're a 501c3 nonprofit. Where you're located, your telephone number, your website, email address, whatever you want to give out.
Okay, so we are located on Eagleville Road in Tiverton, Rhode Island, and our website is medicine-horse.com. We're also on Facebook. You have to put it Medicine Horse Tiverton, because from what I understand, there is a Medicine Horse in Colorado, unaffiliated with us. So you have to put Tiverton in order to find our website. And we also have Instagram, also an Instagram.
Oh, nice. You know, I have to give you a lot of credit that your dream came true with the farm, and now with you helping, whether it be veterans or people with substance use and mental health. Because I think the more of a menu we give these folks, because not one thing is good for everybody, I think you'll be doing a lot of good work for the people of Rhode Island. Did you work at Massachusetts still?
They have to come to the farm, but
Yeah.
we also transport horses.
Okay.
We've transported horses to Rhode Island College for their wellness weekend. We've transported horses to Brown University. And we are going to be going to Lucy's Hearth in Middletown. That's
nice.
Residential homeless
Wow.
facility.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you for what you do.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for what you do. And quickly, your phone number again. So-
401
Yep.
640 7506.
Great. Well, thank you. And I will be calling you. I'm going to come down, take a look, and we'll have you come back on the show. So thank you for what you do. Desiree, always thank you. So this is Gambling Month, 1-877-9-GAMBLE. If you're having an issue, please help yourself. Because if you don't help yourself, it's not going to be good. See you next week.